Former FBI Director James Comey has pleaded not guilty to charges of lying to Congress and will now seek to dismiss the case as vindictive. Meanwhile, New York Attorney General Letitia James, who knows something about vindictive prosecutions, is now facing charges related to mortgage fraud. And while many on the left were quick to attack the case as politically motivated, CNN's Anderson Cooper called her out for her past campaign promises to go after Trump. Watch this.
According to PolitiFact, the day after she was elected in 2018, Letitia James was asked by a community activist if she was going to sue President Trump, and she replied, quote, "Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the ass. He's going to know my name personally." I mean, that's not a great look for somebody who has just been elected or just been campaigning, who hasn't even looked, I guess, deeply at any evidence.
Here with reaction, Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett and Fox News contributor Nicole Parker. Thank you both for joining us. So, Greg, you know, it's interesting. The American voter absolutely destroyed Letitia James because they recognized what a completely partisan persecution her attempt to go after Trump was. And they obliterated her by reelecting Donald Trump president. And now she's going to cry and claim that she's being persecuted?
Yeah. I mean, think about what she did. She went on the campaign trail and said, if you elect me, I will abuse my office to get Trump. And then she went about doing it. And now she has the audacity to claim, I'm a victim of weaponization of the law by Trump. These people have no ability at self-reflection. Look, when you tell a bank that your home is primary or secondary to get a lower mortgage rate and you're actually renting it out, that's fraud. You're lying to the lender. You're deceiving the lender about the financial risk. And here the documents, Charlie, incriminate James. She can hardly claim, oh, gee, it was miscommunication, because she's on record saying that's not an excuse. But worse, last year, she issues this public statement declaring that everyday Americans cannot lie to a bank to get a mortgage. Powerful people cannot cheat to get better loans. Well, looks like she did.
Yeah. You know, Nicole, you've devoted your life to prosecuting, enforcing the law as an FBI agent and following all of the rules when you are going after a criminal. And it's kind of interesting to step back and remember everything that the FBI did under James Comey and then also Letitia James in in New York. It's kind of amazing to look at all of the corners that they cut in both of those cases in order to go after one man. Have you ever seen anything like that?
Charlie, I had never seen anything like that before, and I actually just authored a book. It's called The Two FBIs, and I talk about how it was so blatant what I was seeing. I mean, I was living it firsthand. It's one thing to see news reports, but to actually walk into the FBI and to listen to what was happening on a day-to-day basis. They treated President Trump like he was on the FBI's top 10 most wanted list. I had never seen anything like it. And then we saw, as soon as he announced that he was running for president, they slapped him with like 91 charges nationwide. I mean, it's absolutely despicable and disgusting. But what I saw happening, you got Letitia James here. She was unabashedly gloating and finding pleasure in going after President Trump. And what I find really disturbing is that these individuals, now that there is equal enforcement of the law, they call it political retribution. That's right. Not political retribution. And all of a sudden they're crying foul play on DOJ. Where have you been the last 10 years that I had to work under the FBI starting around 2015 when you were just going after one side of the political spectrum? Anyone that knows anything, we could see it for exactly what it was. And now they're sitting here again, like Greg was saying, acting like they're victims. Right. No, actually what you have is you have an AG and you have an FBI director. You've got Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and they believe in enforcing laws fairly and equally, and they are not accustomed to that. Letitia James and James Comey, they are not accustomed to that. They are the ones committing the crimes that they're actually out there accusing everyone else of, and now justice must be served.
You know, Greg, I bet you get the same questions that I get very often from people, which is, will anyone pay a price for any of this?
Yeah, I think they could. And let me speak to James Comey, because I have a column tomorrow morning on foxnews.com on Comey. Look, when he was preening like a peacock in front of a camera saying, let's have a trial, That was just another pretense, a lie by phony Comey. It was a con job. The last thing he wants is a trial, which is why his lawyers this week said, we're going to file motions to dismiss the case, claiming, vindictive prosecution, selective prosecution, retribution by Trump. Comey's strategy, make no mistake, is to put Donald Trump on trial to avoid his own trial. He doesn't want to be put on trial. But typically that's an uphill battle because under law you have to prove by clear evidence that the charges have an unjustified motive. If they're justified, it's not a defense. And of course, the argument that Trump is the terrible villain and poor Jimmy is the innocent victim, that's worthy of a Shakespearean farce, given Comey's long list of lawless schemes, deceptions, and abuses of power, Charlie.
Real quickly, Nicole, are you hopeful that anybody will pay a price for this?
I am hopeful because I think that's what Americans want. That's what we deserve. And I can tell you that FBI agents, current and former, there is nothing more that they want to see than equal enforcement of the law. If I did the same thing that James Comey did, I would be in jail. No questions asked.
It's pretty simple, actually. Nicole, Greg, thank you so much for joining us.